said, the first thing I wanted to talk about is the down and dirty guide to meetings. And I say down and dirty because having led, I don't know, several hundred meetings over the past few years with different businesses, I can appreciate a lean framework, what I'll call it. It's a kind of a blend of my own. I've certainly adapted a lot from the book Traction by Gino Wickman. And then on top of that, just learning kind of what works best with different groups of people. So at the end of the day, that's the truth is obviously you have to implement whatever kind of framework you want and then adapt it to work with people. But I'm going to go through the general framework that I find that works really well and I think that you can put to use and get a lot of mileage out of. So first of all, if you're already in the mindset that meetings suck, and a lot of people are, I think you need to look at why you think they suck. And a lot of people feel like it's a waste of time. And if they're not driving, if they're not in charge, that they're having their time wasted by someone else and they have no control. Okay, I'm not going to address that today. You know, if you're in a position where you literally have no control over the meetings, then that's something kind of, I think, entirely else that you need to deal with. Either it's an employer or you have a partner who won't listen, something like that. That's a relationship and you need to work on that and look at ways to approach that. If you think that they're a waste of time, however, I think that a mindset shift is needed because with meetings, you're really gathering the power of more than one person. Okay, and in my mind, that's what these are for. I'm not a big fan of huge numbers of attendees, but if you've got 2 to maybe 7 people and you have a really good structure to it, you can get through a lot of stuff, get a lot of really good feedback, and get that kind of the power of the group. And I believe that that's truly what powerful meetings are and what they can do for you is you're harnessing that brain power of all those people to come to solutions and really, overcome obstacles much quicker. So I think that that's important too. If you don't believe that, then no meeting's going to be worthwhile for you. So with that said, before you go into a meeting, you need to have some sort of a schedule or a process laid out before you get in the meeting. And this is where I think that, if you want to use this framework, that can be helpful. If you want to read a book like Traction and use their exact framework, that's great. Just start with something, okay? And a lot of ways that, how you can actually implement this, if a lot of times we use calendars, right? So if you're going to set up a calendar reminder for a meeting with your team, then you put down exactly what the meeting needs to follow. And it could be something, just like a 3-bullet list, but those are the 3 things you cover every single time, okay? So this doesn't have to be complicated, and I'll go through an example of what that could be in a minute. If this is a recurring meeting, I would say that this becomes more important to get some buy-in from your team, and if this is your business, then you can force them to do it, and that's their buy-in. If it's your partners, you may want to just explain why and explain the benefits and say, hey, maybe we're trying to cut these meetings down. They're always running over. I'm having to leave early because a client calls or whatever it is. Give them a benefit. Everybody likes that. Just say, I want to get more done, get it done quicker, and get better results. So we're not all bored and tired at the end of these meetings. And I think usually that's enough that most people are going to be happy to do that. Okay, the third thing, this is really important, and this can be a tough one, and I'll explain why. But going off on tangents is one of those huge time sucks in meetings. Okay, it could be a technical thing, right? Let's say we're talking about implementing a new content development process. And then we get off, okay, that's a great topic, could be hugely beneficial to any company, but then you start talking about like which plugins are best, like what could we use for curating content and what will embed better tweets into our articles. That shit doesn't matter. All right, down the road it matters, and it matters, but someone else can figure that out, or you can figure it out in your own time, or whoever the person leading this is. Or it can be done outside of this meeting. All right, so diving into those crazy little details in meetings, then that's what I call a tangent. Okay, it's something that you can hammer out in a side meeting. If it doesn't involve everybody there, don't do it. Things happen. We all get excited. We've all got these cool things we want to talk about, but in a meeting where if it doesn't involve everybody, table it, maybe 1 minute max if you can hammer it out, but then just stop and get with who you need to outside of that meeting. And I say that this is tough because you've got to watch yourself when you're in meetings. It gets on a topic you're excited about, and then you're going to start talking about it, and you've got to be able to pull yourself back in addition to telling people, hey, we're really getting out on a limb here. We've gone really far. Pull back. This is the topic, not all these little things. I guarantee you it'll go over well if you need to police yourself as well as others. Okay, the other thing while you're going through a meeting, write down the action items. You don't need to take a ton of detailed notes. I don't believe in it. If you want, you could use some cool tools like Otter.ai I've recommended before. Pop it on your phone, put it down. You could even put that in front of your speakers. I've done that on my computer so that you can record like a Skype call or something and just get the notes from it. Okay, but most importantly, take down the action items. And then what I would do at the end of that is you end the meeting with a quick review of action items. Hey, who's doing what? If a team's been working together for a while, hopefully they get to the point where they're writing down their own action items, but it doesn't hurt to say, okay, here's what I heard during the meeting. This is what's going on. You, this is what you're doing. We good? All right. So hopefully that's all that's really needed, but you need to adjust that as needed, and just helps review in case you went all over the place, maybe over an hour or two, and cement in people's heads, okay, we did all that, but these 3 to 7 things are what's actually needing to be done. Okay, so here's an example, just like a framework of what's working well, and this is not entirely what we do, but this is something I use with one of my businesses. Okay, we open up with an intro about something that's what's going well. This could be customers, this could be employees, this could be personally. There's a lot of different ways to do this. And again, I think it's just important to figure out what's working well for you and just go around. Sometimes people want to say something, sometimes they don't. But that helps in multiple areas, right? It's starting with something positive, and then just sharing something that's not always, going to be, critical thinking. It's just, hey, this is what's working well. We've noticed that we had a bump in sales and we got really good feedback on this new feature, or our employee doing content came up with a new process and saved us 10 minutes every time we post a video or something. So just little things like that to get the meeting going. Okay, I think it's really important you want to review your statistics. This might be big metrics for you, like KPIs, key performance indicators. Everybody has these, or if you don't, you should. And this might be something as simple as, hey, what was the revenue for the past week or month? What was our expenses? Compare them. Are we looking good? We're not in the red. And whatever else it is. Maybe you're looking at like leading indicators, like how many new leads did we get with lead magnets, and that should predict other things. So again, won't go into the details on that, but regularly reviewing those, and especially if you have a team, reviewing those with your team. Okay, let's see. Then I would save the bulk of the time for either, you should have some time for issues that you want to resolve. Okay, and different teams do this differently. I like to use a combined doc, basically just a Google Doc, and say, okay, everything goes in there. All right, you just create a bullet point, type in what you want. So if it comes to somebody during the week that, oh, we should talk about this, you don't wait until the meeting to get that out of your head. You go ahead and put it in there so that it's there, you can bring it up, and then that person's responsible for kind of driving the conversation around that during the meeting. Okay, and we've talked about it, but kill tangents. And I bring this up again because it's that important. Like I said, this is one of the big reasons why meetings run on and on. People get pissed off, they check out. If it's a remote meeting, people go off and, get the tea or whatever. I've done it, and that's why I'm saying, you've got to be in control of this and cut things down. And like I said earlier too, the important part is you've got to be able to police yourself or put someone else in charge of it as well to say, hey guys, we're going off on a tangent. You two people are talking about this one thing. The rest of us are not involved, and that's okay, but you guys need to take care of it outside the meeting. Let's pull back to the main idea and move forward. All right. And then lastly, I'd say end on time. You should have a schedule. If you're using a calendar and you have an hour, then it ends in an hour. All right. And then end with that summary of action items. So wrap it up. Hey, here's what we covered. Here's the things that need to get done. Anything we missed or anybody else got something last minute. Okay, we're on time or early. Great. And I guarantee you, when you start doing this, people are going to view it much differently. When you have people who have been just to horrible meetings where time's run over and, it's just kind of a mess, nobody likes that. And so I've met a lot of people who, came in hating meetings. And it's not like they love them now, but they see, oh, okay, this is really useful. I'm getting a lot more benefit out of this. I'm happy to give an hour of my time, do some problem solving, meet with people, see what's going on, and then know that I'm going to be done on time. So the final word on the Down and Dirty Guide to Meetings is two more items that you should always consider, okay? And they kind of, to me, point towards the same thing. But come on time, whether it's your meeting or not. and come prepared. Okay, if you have something you're supposed to be providing or talking about, be ready to talk about it. If you don't, or you have no input, then at least be there on time. And both of these are kind of respecting your time and others, because if you don't respect your own time, then how do you expect others to do that? And going to a meeting where somebody's not prepared or they're not showing up on time, it's just kind of a downward spiral. And I won't go into the details of it, but have been parts of groups like that where things just don't work out well, and that can really drive a stake between people and cause issues in a business. So don't be that person. Set a reminder, set 2 reminders, set 3 reminders, but be there on time. And I think it's always good to remind yourself that if you don't respect your time, then why should you expect other people to respect it? Thanks for watching. You can stay up to date by subscribing right there. If you'd like to come join our free Facebook group about process, automation, productivity, all that good stuff, you can do that right there. Just answer the few quick questions and you'll be in.